Hi, so this is the website we were creating for the very first lesson with AI. This is the chat that started this thing you're looking at here right now. And I'm going to be walking you through pretty much every single line so you understand the concept behind it. I'm also going to be providing the link to this chat so you will be able to play this chat yourself and interact with it and see all of the things that went into it. There are actually two chats that I'll be giving you, and I'll also tell you why it became two chats. So this is going to be a very, very detailed course, and to get into it, okay, create in a single responsive HTML file. This single here, if I don't prompt it that way, the normal protocol is for it to give me in three files. Okay, usually when you put in your code in your repository, and what I mean by repository is you go to your GitHub. Okay, I'm also going to make a list of the tools you're going to be using. So this is your repository. So let me take you to the repository for the sushi joint itself. Okay, usually when you're adding your file here, it should be index.html, what you're looking at here, and two more files. But we are telling the AI to give us a single file for two reasons. One, we want to be able to play that code in chat. This is what I mean by play it in chat. You see that here it gave me as text, and see the difference here now that it has this play icon. So that allows me to view the code that it gave to me and make corrections, that is correct the AI to give me something closer to what you're looking at here. If it divided it into three files for me, I won't be able to play it. So the first thing in your prompt should be create in a single responsive HTML file. Responsive here means that you're telling the AI to bear in mind that you want your website to look good on all screen devices. This is how it looks on mobile, right? Now, the trick is to click this desktop site and it immediately morphs the site to how it looks on desktop. Okay, see how for the header now, this is what I mean by header. So that first line you see that has home, about, blog, this logo here, this menu, delivery, contact, that is your header. You see the difference there and what we have on mobile. On mobile phones, the screen size is smaller than what we have on large devices. So large devices can occupy more content on a single line compared to a mobile phone. So when we say responsive, it means adjusting the website content to look good across different sizes. Okay, let's go back to the prompt. Do not indent spaces in code. If you don't add this, it's going to be adding spaces. Okay, let me take you back to the HTML. See how everything starts symmetrically here. If we don't do that, it's going to be adding spaces. I will show you an example of what that looks like in another video. But add that too, and it's doing two things. Number one, is easy on the eyes, and number two, it makes your file size manageable. Unnecessary space in your file increases your file size. We don't need that, okay? Do not put comments in code. We also don't need that. Your job here is to prompt AI to create a website for you. You don't need the comments per se. You can always ask the AI to explain something or to clarify something in the chat. It doesn't need to put comments in the code, okay? It just adds the file size, and it is unnecessary. Use fonts also for icons. Font Awesome is an icon library. So let me take you back to the website and show you what the icons are. You see this fish icon here in the logo? That's an icon. That's a Font Awesome icon. And these two lines that when I click it, it opens the mobile menu. That's also an icon. That cancel sign you see is also an icon, cancel icon. If I scroll down now, see this arrow right is an icon. This drop down icon, this arrow down is an icon. The left and right icons here, and then the social media icons. Okay, so telling AI to use Font Awesome for icons, I'm telling it to get the icons that I need from Font Awesome for me. Implement standard CSS. Let me show you that Font Awesome for really quickly. Font Awesome. This is Font Awesome. I'm still on desktop side. Let me take it to mobile menu. So this is Font Awesome. So AI is going to fetch icons here for me. You see the icons? That's what it's for, Font Awesome. So let's go back to the chat. Implement standard CSS for header, main, footer. I've explained the header before. This first line you see that has the fish icon, sushi joints, the two lines here, that is your header. The header usually comprise the logo, the page navigations. Navigations, this home, about, blog, menu, delivery, contact, those are all page navigations. So it links to different pages. So you might see, now this is the landing page that I've not created other pages for, but usually the about would have this. So this would be the full link to about page. And when I click on about here, it will take me to that. Okay, so each of these will naturally link to other pages. That's what I mean by page navigations. And then another thing here was main. To explain main, let me show you the footer first. Footer, just like the parts of your body, head, footer. So the foot is at the foot of the website. This is your footer. This black background that has all this. Okay, this is your footer. And it usually contains more information about the website, more page navigations. You can see here it also has follow our Instagram, those 4 images on the row. It has the social media icons here. It has copyright information. This is your footer. Okay, now everything that is between the header and the footer here, so all of these things you're seeing, all of this good stuff, this is your main content. So your main is the content between your header and your footer. Okay, so when I say standard CSS here, is making sure that you're telling the AI to give you the full CSS that makes sure that the header, the footer, and the main are positioned correctly. You want to be very explicit as you can in your description to make sure that the AI is not leaving anything out of the code. What is CSS here? CSS is styling. So HTML in itself is just text, like the bare form of your website. But you see how everything looks here? You're seeing colors, you're seeing different fonts, all of this stuff, having 2 images in a row. This is all CSS. This is all styling. Okay. Now let me briefly touch on JavaScript too. You see what happens when I click on these 2 lines and it opens the mobile menu, and when I click on this cancel icon, it closes it. That is a JavaScript behavior. Okay, making the website functional, that when I click on certain things, some actions follow. Another JavaScript behavior would be this contact form when it's fully implemented. But now if I click on reserve table, so with the reservation form, see this, please fill out this field, making that action that is telling me that this field is required for me to fill. That's also a JavaScript rule. When this reservation form is fully implemented, right, it will be a JavaScript function. Let's go back to the prompt. And show footer is at the bottom of screen. So that's part of the standard CSS. Just like the part of your body, your foot is the last thing of your body, is at the bottom, right? So there's a particular CSS that the AI we had to make sure that it stays at the bottom of the screen. You see all of this here is quite important. So it's pretty much part of your skeleton of every website you're creating. All this creating a single file, do not, is preliminary stuff that should be in your prompts all the time for a standard or a professional website. Now when we come to accent color, you see the orange color in the website, this orange color here. Now, how do you get this? You're going to take a screenshot of the website, and then we're going to go to Canva to get the color of this button color. Okay, to get the button color here. So now we're in Canva, and I'm just going to pick the social media sizing and pick, let's just go with this Instagram post dimension. We need to navigate to gallery, then select the screenshot that I took, add it to the page. Then I'm going to add a shape to that same board. Okay, so I'm going to click on color. Then I'm going to get this eyedropper and bring it to the button here. So that's how I'm going to get the color of the button. Okay, let's do it one more time to be sure. See that the change is changed a bit. So just really bring it to the center and get your color. We've gotten 3 different colors here just now. So go with the one. I'm gonna go with this. The reason why I kept trying was because I already knew the color that I was going for. The one I used in the prompt, for example, was different from what I was getting, but it's fine. Okay, just make sure that when you're doing your eyedropper, you're putting it to the center of your button and you get your color. And so for your case here now, it could be any of those 3 colors that we got, and that will inform what you use here. Okay, that's going to be your button color, accent color, or you can just go with this. It's fine. I'm showing you how the steps you're going to take when you're picking your own reference website. For instance, say it's completely different from the one we are using here. You want to recreate another website of your own choice. This is how you're going to, the steps you're going to take. So now you have your accent color. Use neutrals for others. Neutrals is your black, white, gray. And for context, so you look at this. We have the white here for this browse menu button. We have the white background here too for the website. All of this white background. So we also have black for the footer color. Those are neutrals, right? Use uppercase for button text. Uppercase. See how the subscribe here is in capital letter? That's uppercase. Pretty much all the button text here are uppercase. So when you're prompting, you're paying attention to how the website is. Obviously, if the button text were not uppercase, that would not be included. But seeing that all the button text, they have that same styling, they are all in capital letter. So it's just the overall. Header and hero share hero background. Let's go back to that website again. this is the header I've explained before that has this logo and hamburger for mobile, and then on large devices it has more on the same line. You will notice that there's a background image behind that logo and where all of this content is, the heading, paragraph, and then buttons. So we call that the hero background. And the hero is this part that has all of this here. That is your hero section. Your hero section is part of your main. You know, I told you that everything between the header and the footer is your main. The only thing here is the header and the hero share the same background image. Okay, they share the same background image. Now, how do you get your background image? Usually, in some cases, right, when you press down on this background image, you should be able to download it. But in this case, we are not able to download it. So what are we going to do? You know that I told you that when you're doing your prompt, you're bearing in mind the behavior of that website on large devices and small devices. Large like your desktop, your laptop, your... Okay, so we have three. We have behavior on desktop, behavior on tablets, and behavior on mobile phones. Okay. Now, you're going to take a screenshot. We'll be taking lots of screenshots in this exercise to get the dimension, the close dimension of that image. I'm going to tell you what you can also do if you just want to go general. So you're just going to trim it down close to the image as much as possible and save it. Okay, and then go to your photo app. Where is the image I just saved though? This is the image we saved, right? On your Android phone, this is the Google Photo app, by the way. You are able to see the dimension, this 720 by 495. And what you do next is, so now you have the dimension for the desktop image, right? And then you notice that on mobile, let's readjust it again, it's longer, right? For this case, I only used one, so meaning that we're going to use the image on desktop and it's going to resize it for the mobile background image. So now you know that we have the dimension. We're going to create a custom size image on Canva with that dimension. So let me go back home on Canva. In Canva, we're going to click custom size, impute the dimension, that's the 720 by 495, okay, and create new design for it. For context, I'm on premium on Canva. I'm going to show you what you can do if the image you want to use for your own recreation is not available on the free plan. So I'm going to search for sushi. That's the theme for our website. I'm going to search for sushi images. So I go to photos. You can see that a lot of it has that crown icon for premium, but some of them don't. So for instance, you can pick this one. You can rotate it to 90 degree and make it the background image, and this can be your background image. Okay, And but this is not the image I used. Let me look for the image I actually used. If I'll see it really fast. This is the image that I used also. Okay, make that my image background. So let's say now that you didn't actually get any image that you liked on the free plan, for instance. Say you're on the free plan. Obviously, if you're on the premium, you have your image that you like. But let's even say Canva didn't have any image that was up to your taste. Go to your browser. Let me show you some website that you can get images from. You can go to Pexels. I hope it loads fast on here. For some reason, it takes a while to load on my Chrome browser. But Pexels is one. You can go to Unsplash. Okay. And type in sushi. And then it's going to give you some nice stock photo that you can use. So you can filter this to free, like licensed images you can use for free. And you can just scroll till you see something that matches your taste. Okay. Another one is Pixabay. I don't really use Pixabay to get pictures, but it's an option. Okay. Another one is Freepik. You can also get from Freepik. So once you have your image, let me close all that. So let's go back. So once you have your image, you're going to export it. Now, I prefer to export as JPEG. You can export as PNG, but let me tell you why. PNG file is always larger than JPEG, and that's because it's preserving a lot of that image. So you will notice that the zoom, say you have a PNG image, when you zoom in, a lot of the quality is still preserved compared to when you're zooming in on JPEG. But for website assets, we want to compress it as much as possible. We can definitely compress a PNG file, but the file size is still not going to be, the file compression is still not going to be as negligible, as small as JPEG. So I'm really just going to go with JPEG, right? You can choose to go with PNG, but just to really give you an understanding of what that means for you. The file size will be larger, and the thing with the file size being large is that your website is going to load slower. Okay, when your website is loading all the assets that is required. So if the file sizes, say you have like 10 images on your website and they are all large, it's going to take a while for the website to load fully. Okay, so now that we've downloaded our image, we're going to go to compressjpeg.com. Okay, say for instance you downloaded PNG, come to the PNG and upload your file here. This is a step you always want to take for your images. Okay, always compress your files. So we're going to upload that file. You need to upload that JPEG file. See that it's about 206 kilobytes. See that it's compressed by 74%. You're going to download it. However, I've already sourced my image and compressed it already. But let's say this is what the protocol say. For instance, let me download it so that you see how it goes. But I've already see the compression from 200 kilobytes to 51. So this is Cloudinary. Is another tool you're going to be using. Cloudinary is where you store your images, your videos, pretty much your media files. Okay, it gives you 25 gig for the free plan, so you can save so many media files. But like I said, always compress your images, compress your videos. For this demonstration, there is no video, but there is also an app for compressing videos. I will show you. Let me first walk you through the process of uploading your files here. So now you're on Cloudinary, you click on upload. We're still on desktop site. I prefer the desktop site on Cloudinary. It's just much easier than the mobile. And I'm going to click on browse, and I'm going to upload this. I'm going to click on this image. Okay, but I'm not going to be using this image link because I had already uploaded this image before when I was creating that website. But once it's uploaded fully, you would then, it's your updates, okay, and you'll be able to get the link. Let me show you. Let me just finish that upload because scrolling down to get the original image file might take a while. I just want to show you what happens after you upload the image. Okay. So the image is uploaded. What's going on with Cloudinary? Why is the file so small? Let's maximize it to mobile view if that helps. So this is the image. Oh, the initial one was actually uploaded successfully. So usually I'm able to, so when you press down a little, this is why I prefer the mobile, the large device view. Something is up, okay, but usually let me redo that again. Let me do it with this one. So when I click on it, you see that there is this left and right, that's the code form shows, and there's this three vertical dots. I'm going to click on that code form, and usually if it were to be on the large device, there would actually be a toast that shows copied, that tells me that I had copied that code. But let me show you it had worked. So you see this is the image link now, similar to what we have in the prompt here. Okay, so when you're doing yours and you've gotten your image file, that link is what you put here for your case. Okay, you can obviously use mine, but I would recommend that you do everything from scratch yourself, so you really get acquainted to the process of you creating websites with AI, okay, independently. So you replace this with that image link that you have got, that you had uploaded on Cloudinary. And now we'll go back to the website. What do we notice? There's a dark overlay. Okay, let me open that image for you one more time. So you see, look at this image and look at how it looks here. Is what is on the website is darker, right? We call that dark overlay. There's a dark overlay over the image. Let me show it to you from Canva so you have an idea of what I'm talking about. Let me add a dark overlay to this image. I'm going to make it black, stretch it to the entire width of that image. Okay, I just want to show you what I'm talking about. What's up in Canva too? We are back on Canva. This is the home screen. I'm going to click on your designs. In this untitled design, that's the one we're creating. You see that it shows that 720 by 495 here. I want to show you that dark overlay thing so you really see the difference. You see what I'm trying to tell you about the dark overlay, so you can train your eyes to spot when there's a dark overlay on images. So this is the image. Let me duplicate so that we can have a compare and contrast. I'm going to add a rectangle over it. Make it black. Then reduce the transparency. Okay, something like this. Compare to this. Okay, and then look at this. It feels quite similar, right? Now there is something in that prompt where I said the background has a dark overlay, darker at the top and progressively gets lighter towards the bottom. This is me being precise with my prompt, what I want. That's because at the top here, it's darker than towards the bottom, right? I'm all for attention to detail. That is an attention to detail. And as a website designer and developer, one of the skills you really want to be precise and to nurture is your attention to detail. You can tell it dark overlay and to just make it a uniform overlay, right? Something like this. And to be nice, okay? But attention to detail is really important. So we have that. And you say header comprise for a set of hyperlinked page navigations. Now this is me describing the desktop first. The way the header looks on large devices, and then I told it on mobile, hide first and second set of page navigation. Let's go back to the website again to juggle our memory and go to the desktop view. See that on the header we have two sets on either side of the logo. The logo is in the center. And when we come back to the mobile, it's just the logo and this hamburger icon. So we don't see any of those two navigations anymore, those two sets of page navigation. Hence why I said on mobile, hide first and second. You would notice that on the large devices too, we don't have menu icon there. Pretty much because the menu icon, when it's tabbed, is what opens to the mobile menu. And the mobile menu contains, let me go to the website again. The mobile menu contains what we see in the large devices. All the list of these 6 navigations here, you now see it in the mobile menu, right? Menu icon is represented by 2 equal long hamburger lines. Again, that is me being precise with my detail. The 2 lines here are equal. There are different kinds of menu icon that don't have the same, that don't have equal length of lines. Okay, so I'm being precise with the kind of hamburger line I want. If I don't say that, it's naturally going to give me the 3 hamburger lines. That's the common one. Logo is hyperlinked in Crimson Pro Google Fonts. Now another thing here, before I show you the Google Fonts, that's another tool. this sushi hut, you see that the name here is Sushi Joint. I changed it along the way, and that's because you see this name here, Netlify Hub, is one of the hosting website hosting, right, where you can publish your website and things like that. You can have two different websites with the same name. So during the course of my development, I realized that somebody had already created a website that had that name. Okay, so I can't use it anymore. So I had to create another name. So when you are, it might happen that you've picked the name. One of the things you want to be sure that that name does not exist already. If the name already exists, you can use it. It's just your unique address. Okay, two different websites can have the same name. Okay, that website name I'm referring to is just your domain. Your domain is your unique address. That is the terminology for that. So I changed it later on from Sushi Hut to Sushi Joint, just to mention that so you don't get confused. Now, Crepson Pro. Let's go to Google Fonts. Google Fonts fonts are how text are styled, okay? Let's go to fonts first of all, fonts.google.com. And you see different kinds of fonts here. Anyone you want. There are so many. You can filter down to what kind of font you're playing with and things like that. Now I already picked my Crepson Pro. You can go with any font you like. Okay. We have two kinds of font mostly. We have the serif and the sans serif. The serif is more like, think of the Times New Roman, for instance. That's a serif font. And then that's how do I describe this? Let's see what Google has to tell us. Difference between serif and sans serif. Okay. So this is the difference. Sans serif are usually rounded, okay, and serif have the strokes are different. So you usually use sans serif for paragraph fonts and you use serif for headings, okay. However, you can also use sans serif. It's really just your choice. Let's not fixate too much on that. So I've told it the font to use on my logo. You also see here that I only mentioned the logo to be Sushi Hut. That is the text. There is no mention of this fish icon yet. We'll get there. Okay. When menu icon is clicked, mobile menu opens and comprise the first set of, the first and second set of page navigation. Like I showed you before, the mobile menu, when it's open, it has those two sets of navigations that you can see on large devices. That is me describing to it what the mobile menu contains. Okay, like I said, you want to be very precise, attention to detail, describe everything you see. And then I said it will comprise heading, paragraph text about the best place to eat sushi in Abuja. So that is me telling it what the website is about, but I don't want to start. So one of the things I recommend is instead of copying this old text for it, just tell it what the website is about in the beginning and let it just fill it up with placeholder text for you. When you're done creating your website, you can go in and edit the text, the copy. Okay? So I don't want to be too precise with text right now. It's not the most important thing when you're starting out we're still on the foundation of the website, okay? So just telling the AI what it's about, it will fill it up with text for you, dummy text. And then 2 hyperlink buttons for receive and browse menu. These buttons you see here, okay? Hyperlink because normally when you click this, it should take you somewhere, okay? If you don't mention hyperlink, it may or may not be intuitive enough to do that for you. It usually can be, but there are sometimes AI might be acting feisty. So really the best approach is to be very detailed with your description. And then I'm telling you the colors now. You see that the reserve table has the orange background color and then browse menu has white. That is also me being very precise with description. So now we have described the header and the arrow. Let's move to footer. Now for footer, this is the description I made, and like always, go back to the website. You're prompting from how it looks on large devices first. Notice how many things are in a row. So for the first row, we have the sushi logo, the brief description about the restaurant. Then we have this page navigations, and they have these headings. So we're going to prompt that in the description for footer. So I basically just jam pack them into the description here. The thing about AI too is really just a safe bet between knowing that it's intuitive and also being detailed enough to guide its outputs. But here for the description for the footer, I wasn't too descriptive, and let me play the HTML code it gave me, the one that I could run in charts. So you see, this is it. And you can see that it's kind of close to what we have here. Let me toggle to mobile view. The difference though, you can see some really precise difference. Number one, the background color for the footer here is quite different. This is black and this is like gray. Then we have the follow on Instagram heading centered, and in the official version here is to the left. And you would also notice something very important here, which is the here 2025. You see that it's 2023 here. So all of that is what I'm going to be correcting. So another key part of having these conversations with AI is you can continually prompt it to correct it. And if you even if you give it a prompt that you didn't like the way it looked, you can still reverse it back to the former version. It's really just playing with it and being descriptive, as detailed as it can be. Really give it all the details, and that would also require that you pay attention to details. And like I said, I'm going to share the link to these charts. It's two actually, so you can see how the conversations went to bring about this website. Okay, all of this is just AI generating the code and me guiding it. So I'm the creative director, and for your case too, you will be the creative director because you have the vision in your head, and your job is to guide the AI by prompting it as precise as you can to give you that website output that fits with what you have in mind. So it's just continually, as you keep scrolling, continually prompting it and fine-tuning the output it's giving me, and it just keeps going like that. And you only need this to kickstart your website creation. So whatever website you want to create, you look at how it looks on large screens and mobile screens. You have to describe the behavior on both for you to get a responsive website, and also getting acquainted with specific terms also helps the output. Like for instance, when I told you about the header, I told you about the arrow section, which is here from this spreading text down to these buttons here. Told you that what you see here is the arrow background because both the header and the arrow are sharing a background image. And then I told you about the main content, which is what lies between the header and the footer, right? We also have what we call sections, and sections are found within the main content, right? So this arrow is a section, this browse menu, all of this here is a section, about the restaurant is a section. So when you are also prompting, you tell it sections, and this is why for a website it has to check certain boxes, right? It has to check the box of how responsive it is on different screen sizes, also the accessibility, and that's making sure that when you're creating websites, people that are impaired, maybe visually impaired, or they are impaired in terms of their auditory, right, their ears, you want to make your website accessible to people. Don't assume that everybody have full access to their senses, their sensory organs and things like that. So accessibility is making sure that if a visually impaired person comes to your website, they can use the read aloud feature to understand what's on your website. And part of the ways you make that happen is your semantics. So either mobile menu, navigation, sections, it arranges your website in such a way that even if somebody was looking at the minified version, say the screen reader version, they still have a good experience of your website. Then we have things like adding your alternative text to your images, text that describe what they are looking at. So this image could be a chef. This image or alternative text on that is not well done. This says restaurant interior. However, the image can best be described as a chef adding some what can we call this, sprinkles on the sushi, right? That would describe it better. So you talk about the fact that the sushi is in the picture and the sprinkle something on it. That's a better description of the image. So that's the essence of alternate text, describing your image so that somebody that is using screen reader or what have you can also understand what the image is for, even if they're not seeing the image itself. Okay, and here for the reservation bit, that is the reservation form. So form here is fields that collect your information, full name, email, and all of that. And here is still another section, right? You have sections in your main content. And this website in itself, the elements that are here, we have the icon, you have your buttons, you have your images, you have your form, you have your, yeah, I said icons already. So that brings me to the end of this demonstration. Again, creating websites with AI requires that you practice continually. And I'm going to make another video showing you the places that you can get your website inspirations from. That is where you can access website that you want to recreate, and also recommendations on what to look out for when you're picking your websites. That's it. Bye.